Tonight, the season of rental scams.
And the place was never up for rent to begin with.
Timely warnings.
Encourage students to actually physically visit the address.
Be very cautious about where it is that you're searching for listings.
As students look for places to live. A summertime reality check on the hunger crisis.
The last 3 years have been really challenging for our community as a whole.
Fewer students at the food bank.
The good news is that's a 26% decrease from last June.
Yet demand is still sky high. A question of heritage.
The value of the building is profound.
Weighing the pros and cons of giving a Kitchener elementary school a special designation. Good evening. We begin with a warning from Waterloo Regional Police tonight about rental scams. Their word of caution comes at a time when post-secondary students are looking for places to stay for the upcoming academic year. CTV's Alexandra Hollick has been looking into this and joins us live now with more. Alexandra, we understand the number of these scams are just starting to pick up.
That's right, Tony. Regional police say they've already received 10 reports regarding rental scams since July 1st. They're urging people to stay vigilant and watch for signs of fraud.
Yeah, I was really feeling a lot of, that I had been duped.
Corbin Kleinveld is facing the truth after falling for a fake rental listing last August.
I was desperate to get my own place.
The Conestoga College student says he scoured the internet, finding a Kitchener basement apartment on Kijiji that was pet-friendly and within his price range.
That looked good to me. I was like, oh, this, jump on this.
So he did. Kleinfeld says he wasn't able to see the place in person, but the photos shared were enough to convince him. He says he sent the person listing the unit $2,700. First and last month's rent.
They didn't exist.
Kleinfeld reported the incident to police, who say he isn't alone.
As we ramp up towards the school year, there have been 10 reported incidents similar to this type of rental scam fraud.
When it comes to spotting a scam, experts all point to one telltale sign. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
If you see something is significantly discounted, that is to get attention.
Low rates can reel people in, especially when they're in a pinch to find a place.
And in doing so, they send e-transfers, usually first and last month's rent, usually a couple $1,000s in most cases, without even viewing or seeing.
Police say newcomers and students are a scammer's target audience.
Coming from other countries, and that they aren't familiar with the processes.
But since anyone can fall for a scam, post-secondary institutions recommend all students searching for housing check in with them first.
Making sure that you're looking at those places that your institutions offer you to look at first as well, before going out into that private market.
In Kleinveld's case, he says he's still waiting for his funds to be recovered, but offers this advice.
Don't let your ego get in the way because one of the reasons I sent the money was because my family kept on telling me not to. And then I got hurt.
If you believe you may have gotten scammed, police urge you to come forward and file a report with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. They also recommend reporting possible fake rental listings through the website you found them on to prevent others from falling for them in the future. Tony.
Alexandra Hollick reporting live. Alexandra, thank you for that. Time now for a first look at the weather. Let's head over to Alex Pinto here in studio for all of the latest. We're partway through the week, and it feels like we've seen a little bit of improvement with the air quality, but fairly humid day today as well.
Yeah, still hot and humid, but we're not feeling those extreme humid X values of when those days we felt like it was 40. So a day like today might feel a little bit of a break, but yes, in terms of the air quality, definitely improving compared to what we saw over the weekend and even earlier in the week. For us here in Waterloo Region, mainly just seeing a bit of cloud cover at this point, so a pretty nice evening to spend outdoors. If you are a bit further north, the Wyerton area, some areas seeing some thunderstorms there right now. Right now, 27 degrees. We actually hit a high of 28 this afternoon. So 27 was supposed to be our expected high for the day. So we did beat that by 1 degree. 25 it is in Mount Forest, 28 if you are in Barrie. And with that humidex, yeah, it feels a little bit warmer. 32 here in KW, 30 in Mount Forest, 31 in Goderich. So definitely we are feeling that heat and humidity, but luckily not to those extreme levels. And it looks like pretty nice conditions before we look ahead to the weekend. All the details coming up a little bit later. Tony.
Okay, we'll get the story from you soon. Thank you, Alex. A Guelph man is facing several charges after a stabbing at an apartment in the city last night. Police say a group of people were inside an apartment near Woolwich Street and Speedvale Avenue when an argument broke out between two men who did not know each other. During the argument, it's alleged a 40-year-old man was injured in the leg. Guelph police say a knife was recovered from a nearby lawn, and Waterloo Regional Police Canine Unit helped them track down a suspect. A 24-year-old Guelph man is now charged with aggravated assault, assault with a weapon, possessing a weapon for a dangerous purpose, and 5 counts of breaching probation. He was held in police custody ahead of a bail hearing. It's become all too familiar at Waterloo Region's food bank. Waves of record-breaking demand. Overall, demand is up, although they have seen a recent drop in the number of students coming in. CTV's Spencer Turcott takes a closer look.
The food bank of Waterloo Region has seen an unprecedented need for its services.
The last 3 years have been really challenging for our community as a whole. We've had record-breaking months of people accessing food assistance.
And students are not immune to that need.
Those who are in post-secondary school have additional pressures of tuition. They're not able to work as much hours as other people.
While overall demand at the food bank is up, fewer students are accessing it.
When we look at the month of June 2025, there were about 750 students that identified as a student when they access food assistance. The good news is that's a 26% decrease from last June 2024.
It's difficult to pinpoint why that may be. It does come at a time when Conestoga College is seeing significant enrollment reductions due to the cap on international students. But the food bank doesn't track whether a student is domestic or international.
When somebody who identifies as a student comes to one of our food programs, one of the first things we do is refer them back to their school food program for assistance.
Although a spokesperson for Conestoga Students Inc., the student association for the college, tells CTV News, CSI's on-campus food support programming paused for spring semester while we work on a revamp we are announcing later this month. What is clear is the overall increase in food bank use.
So on average, we're finding that people are accessing twice a month. And that's a 5% increase in the number of people and a 13% increase in the total visits from the prior June.
And as the summer months wind down, they'll be keeping a close eye to see if this trend for students continues as the fall semester begins. Spencer Turcott, CTV News Kitchener.
Well, the Prime Minister was back in Ottawa today strategizing next steps in the trade war with the U.S. Prime Minister Carney met with his cabinet and met virtually with the premiers. That meeting taking place as 2 top cabinet ministers are still in Mexico, resetting Canada's trade relationship with America's southern neighbor. CTV's Mike LeCouture has the latest for us.
Prime Minister Carney, which counter-tariffs?
The Prime Minister was tight-lipped a day after saying he'd consider removing some counter-tariffs on American goods if it would help Canadian industries. While saying he supports Mark Carney, Ontario Premier Doug Ford has a different take.
You can't have tariffs on one side and not the other. I still stand by what I say. Dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff. They understand strength, not weakness.
He was planning to deliver that message this afternoon as the premiers held a virtual meeting with the Prime Minister. Once it ended, Ford's message to Canadians is to buckle up for a rough road ahead.
I'm praying that everything's going to go fine. But if it doesn't, I got to ask the people, do you trust President Trump? I don't.
In recent days, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe has called for Canada to remove or reduce counter-tariffs on all American goods. Some feel like the countrywide resolve is being tested.
As this has dragged on with no obvious resolution in sight, some of that determination is flagging a bit.
In an interview with CTV News on Tuesday, the U.S. ambassador to Canada cautioned that trade talks could be slow over the next weeks as U.S. President Donald Trump focuses on a deal with China. And that's why some trade experts believe Canada should refrain from retaliating.
I do think we have to hold something like a retaliation as a threat in case Trump does decide to hit us with something else.
And one example of that unpredictability, President Trump announced an additional 25% tariffs on goods from India because that country is importing Russian oil. India's tariff rate could rise to 50%. Mike Lecoulteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And now a move upsetting some Canada Post customers in rural parts of Ontario. They've been told the flag on their mailbox that for decades signaled they had mail when it was up will no longer be raised. Canada Post says the flag was actually always intended as a way to let the carrier know there was outgoing mail, not the other way around. CTV's Katie Griffin reports.
The postman comes, puts the mail inside, closes the door, and brings this up.
For many, that's the way it's been in rural areas for years. Not anymore.
Whether it's to save time or money, I'm not sure, but it's not doing the workers nor the corporation any good.
David Carrier received a letter from Canada Post indicating delivery agents would no longer raise the flag on mailboxes when mail is delivered.
And it seems a little bit odd that given it a time when Canada Post is struggling to survive and wanting large raises and wanting to gain more of the market share, that they're going to offer less service and less convenience to the public when they deliver their mail.
A resident in Somerstown near Cornwall received this handwritten note from a carrier saying they were no longer allowed to raise the flag. So sorry, please check box regularly.
In a letter to rural customers, Canada Post said after a review it was determined that the purpose of the signal device was for the customer to indicate to the delivery agent that there was outgoing mail.
Canada Post writes in a statement that the flag is not meant to inform customers mail is in the mailbox. It acknowledged some do it as a courtesy, but that it is not a national delivery process. For Carrier, it doesn't make sense.
I've spent my whole life living rurally, and I don't know of very many people who put mail outgoing and use that indicator. But a lot of people here have a half-a-mile laneway, and they look out, they don't see a flag, they don't go out. If they see the flag, they go out. So a lot of these people are older, and it takes some effort to go out and get that mail.
CTV's Katie Griffin with that report. Well, a reminder to start your day in the know with our CTV Kitchener newsletter. The best local content from our newsroom sent right to your email inbox. First thing in the morning, a look at the day's top stories, the forecast, and some must-see video. You can sign up over on our website, ctvnewskitchener.ca. New information tonight about cameras that were live streaming in Waterloo's Memorial Rec Complex when they weren't supposed to be. Just ahead, the city shares new details about what it's learned as Ontario's Privacy Commissioner continues an investigation.
I'm Colton Weens in Kitchener, where a heritage designation is being pursued for St. John's Public School for its architectural and historical value to the community. That story coming up.
Some scattered showers and a risk of a thunderstorm depending where you are. I'll break it down in your full forecast coming up.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news. When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A nearly 100-year-old Catholic school in Kitchener could be designated as a heritage building. The city's Heritage Committee is pursuing that status for St. John's Catholic School on Strange Street. That's where we find CTV's Colton Weens right now. Colton, we should note this is just the beginning of the designation process.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. There's still quite a process that needs to happen before the building would receive a heritage designation, but city staff are now pursuing that designation. Now, over in Waterloo, Elizabeth Ziegler Public School is a heritage property that's seen some major issues with maintenance recently, but here in Kitchener, I spoke to an expert today that says this building appears to be in great shape, and designating it a heritage property would be beneficial for the community. It's been a part of the Kitchener core since 1929. St. John's Catholic School on Strange Street was built in response to the influx of new families and births following World War I. Now the Heritage Committee wants to designate it under the Ontario Heritage Act.
They're already historicist buildings. They already convey a sense of connection to the Middle Ages.
Just the fourth school to be built in Kitchener, the city says its contribution to educational development is historically important. Adding the province's More Homes Built Faster Act requires properties on municipal heritage registers to be designated before January 1st, 2027, or they'll be removed from the register. And local experts think it's the right move.
I think it's good for children to understand that they're part of a continuum, historical continuum.
The city says the building meets 4 out of 9 criteria for heritage designation, built in the collegiate Tudor architectural style with a flat roof, red brick, and cast concrete decorative details. It did undergo reconstruction around 2009, but kept its historical elements.
You know, I can't say St. John's is an architectural masterpiece. Frankly, it's not, but its relationship to the street, its relationship to the community, its closeness to the park. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons.
A heritage designation doesn't completely protect it from demolition, but it would require the Waterloo Catholic District School Board to maintain the building. Elizabeth Ziegler Public School is a heritage property in Waterloo that recently closed because of structural concerns, but Haldenby feels with renovations done at St. John's and the value it holds in the community, it shouldn't be a concern.
I really don't believe that there's any risk that this building is going to be determined to have structural problems within the foreseeable future anyway.
City staff will now ask the school board for any comments or concerns about designating the building, and then a notice of intention to designate will be brought back to the committee, which would then need approval from council. Tony.
Colton Weens live in front of St. John's Catholic School. Colton, thanks for that. New information tonight about those live streaming cameras in Waterloo that are now being investigated by Ontario's Privacy Commissioner. The city says none of what was inadvertently live streamed from the Memorial Rec Complex during children's summer camps was downloaded or shared. The city says it was first notified July 23rd that cameras at the rec complex were accidentally streaming footage without authorization when summer camps were running. The equipment's owned and operated by Live Barn Inc., which has a partnership to stream sporting events. The city of Waterloo says the company has now confirmed that none of what was streamed from July the 1st to the 23rd was shared or downloaded, but also said there is a high likelihood that Live Barn subscribers would have been able to watch the live stream from May 1st until July 23rd. The cameras at all City of Waterloo arenas remain offline. Ontario's Privacy Commissioner is investigating. The city of Cambridge also reported that cameras had been streaming during children's camps. A Brantford man is caught up in Canada's ongoing trade war with the U.S. The classic car enthusiast is in the process of bringing his dream car across the border to Canada, but says ongoing tariff increases are keeping him from completing the task. CTV's Karis Mapp reports.
For as long as Cam Gillespie can remember, he's always been a fan of cars, Fords especially capturing his interest. So when his dream car, a 1969 Shelby Mustang, became available for purchase from an Iowa dealership, he couldn't resist.
I never thought I'd find one, to be quite honest with you. That's how rare they are. And then if you do find one, like, their cost is a fortune.
Aware of Canada's ongoing trade war with the U.S., Gillespie said he contacted Canada's Border Services Agency, only to be told the tariffs don't impact classic cars over 25 years old.
And I went ahead, purchased a vehicle, paid for it in full, sent the money. I phoned TFX International to arrange shipping, because I always get TFX International to bring the cars up. And TFX at that time informed me that there would be a 25% tariff on the automobile.
I would say we're probably missing about $50,000 to $100,000 every week of potential sales just in transport alone of these vehicles that people were previously buying in the U.S., bringing into Canada.
The added cost comes due to Canada's retaliatory tariff implemented in response to the Trump administration's tariff on automotive imports. What was originally expected to be a $106,000 purchase, now
$106,000, right? And then you add 13%, so that's, let's say, $14,000, so you're up to $120,000. Now 106 had 25% tariff, you're up to about $131,000. And then you got 13% tax on top of that, so you're up to $145,000.
For now, the Shelby Mustang continuing to sit at the dealership, but time is running out.
He said the longest I can keep it is till the end of August.
With the clock winding down, Gillespie says he's tried to contact both the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Gillespie's MP even writing a letter on his behalf. A response was received from Prime Minister Carney's office, but still no resolution in sight. With no other options, Gillespie says he'll be forced to pay the tariff price.
Well, this is a prime example where you're not fighting for Canadians. This should be changed. It doesn't make sense. It's not right.
I think what's happened to Cam is absurd, and people should be allowed to own and drive what they want to own and drive.
Kara Smapp, CTV News, Brantford.
A driver who was pulled over on the way to his birthday party in York Region learned that there is no excuse for stunt driving.
Ma, you have to come pick me up. The police pulled me over.
I'm sure you're aware why I pulled you over.
What did I do?
You're speeding.
Speeding? I'm on my way to my birthday party. Okay. I haven't driven the Ferrari for a while.
York Regional Police posting this video on social media of the incident from last fall. The driver seemed quite oblivious as to why police pulled him over in that white Ferrari. Police told him he was going 130 in a 70 zone. He asked to see the radar, and the officer obliged before impounding the vehicle. Well, here's a live look outside, a little bit breezy on this Wednesday evening, and that's been coming as a bit of a relief these past couple of evenings with the degree of humidity that we are feeling, as Alex was mentioning, not oppressive, but certainly noticeable, and the breeze helps. We're going to find out how the weather's shaping up for the rest of the week when Alex rejoins us live in studio in just a few moments. Also ahead, at a time when there's a locally made brew for almost everyone's tastes, one of the newest craft offerings here in Southern Ontario is truly going to the dogs. And next, buckle up for the potential for an Air Canada flight attendant strike in 10 days. What travelers need to know about the timeline of this labor dispute. Next. Alex is back with our 7-day forecast. Always lovely when we have one of those weeks where we're suddenly in the middle of the week.
I know.
Already.
Surprise. It's shortened weeks are, yeah, nice to that. But then it kind of throws off. I don't know about you, but I'm completely thrown off. I'm like, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday? No.
Yeah.
We're in Wednesday.
I get the same way.
Days to go.
Even though we go through this every year.
Yes.
But I was going to say, what was really nice last night, I was out for a walk last evening and wasn't expecting the nice fresh breeze that I felt. I felt like it was making a difference with the air quality level and also with the humidity. So it's kind of been a bearable week as the air quality's improved and as we've had those light breezes to help us out.
Yeah, like you noted before, we kind of need a little bit of that breeze.
Yeah.
And yeah, last night we definitely noticed it. Today, even out this evening, we saw that in the live shop before too. We're starting to notice a little bit of breezy conditions coming through, and depending where you are, maybe you've got a bit more sun, a bit more cloud cover, but pretty nice evening overall. Let's take a live look outside. We are seeing a bit of cloud cover here. That sun is peeking through, but it still looks a little bit hazy out there. So we are still seeing some hazy conditions, local smoke last night, today, even getting into tomorrow. That is expected to stick around, but definitely an improvement from what we saw over this past weekend, even earlier in the week, which is pretty nice to see. So depending where you are, you might actually be experiencing a thunderstorm, a little bit of wet weather this hour. So near Mount Forest, a little bit further north, Wyerton, you could be seeing this hour a little bit of active weather. That risk of a thunderstorm expected to stick around before it's expected to clear further north, and then we could be left with a bit of cloud cover. So some scattered showers throughout southern and southwestern Ontario as we get into your Thursday. Conditions expected to clear before another round could be seen when we look at Friday, wrapping up the end of the week as well. So that other system making its way here. You can see Barrie, Aurelia. So if you do have plans to head to cottage country up north, something to keep in mind as well, and timing any outdoor plans accordingly. If you're going to be in the Sarnia area, Windsor, also a risk for some active weather and potentially some thunderstorms as well. 27 degrees right now, so we actually dropped. It was about 28, which was our high today. So we were actually a degree above. 27 was supposed to be our expected high. 27 it is in Toronto, 27 in London, and we are still feeling that humidity out there this hour as well. It's feeling more like 33 in KW, 33 in Sarnia, 31 in Mount Forest. So not feeling like we're in that 40 territory, but still quite warm out there. So normal for this time, we are just a couple of degrees above that, 26 or so. Record high, 38. That was set in 1918. And on this day in 1951, we saw an overnight record low of 6 degrees, which is hard to believe when we are experiencing some more heat and humidity. So that sun now rising at 6:17 in the morning, and yeah, it is setting at 8:38. So if you've been a fan of those 9 p.m. sunsets, even 8:45, those are now in the rear view mirror as we start to notice some of the evenings getting a little bit shorter. So overnight 16 degrees, partly cloudy conditions, that chance of a shower, just a slight chance, 30% or so sticking around. There is that thunderstorm risk sticking with us as well, so depending where you are, slight chance for that. Tomorrow 28, expected high with that humidex feeling more like 33. Sunny conditions for the most part, but again, we could see a little bit of that haze, that local smoke make its way, and that UV index is expected to be quite high, sitting at about a 9 for tomorrow. So for Waterloo Region, sunny conditions expected for your Thursday, high of 28. Before starting Friday right through the weekend, we could see a mix of sun and cloud and eventually getting into that 30-degree territory. So overall, pretty nice conditions for the weekend. Can't really complain there. Lambton, Kent, and Essex, 30% chance of showers. You also have a risk of a thunderstorm as we look ahead to tomorrow with an expected high of 29 degrees before your Friday through Sunday, mix of sun and clouds. So at least hopefully you don't get to see some wet weather then. Southern Georgian Bay, mainly sunny for your Thursday. Mix of sun and cloud as well as we look ahead to the weekend, but you do have a slight chance for a bit of active weather as we look ahead to Sunday. And here's tonight's weather watcher picture. Ooh. This one, I know, melted my heart when I saw this one come in. So Keith Drummond sending this shot from Preston of 4 little baby bunnies in the garden. He says that they were found in his son's tomato plant pot. How cute is this? So yeah, Keith, thank you for sending this. They are all just so cute, cuddled together, and not a sight. I've got to say, I don't know if I've ever seen bunnies in potted plants, but usually we find them kind of, you know, in the gardens. But
looks like a cozy spot. Actually, at the old station down in Midtown, KW, we used to have buns all over the place down there.
Yeah, we
through
did.
The cemetery and through the local yards in the neighborhood, Mary Allen neighborhood.
Yes.
And I remember every time I'd be out walking around the station this time of year or toward fall, you'd get a bun.
Yeah. Bun. Bunnies everywhere.
I made friends with them, as you can tell.
They are friendly, but hey, a planter might be a safe spot for them too.
Probably a good spot, yeah. Thanks, Alex.
Yes, and just a note as well.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we have another item to get to, that's right.
Okay, yeah, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
So split the pot. We talked about it a few times recently. The early bird deadline, you have until midnight tonight. So during the 5 o'clock show, if you were able to tune in during that, we featured St. Joseph's Health Center Foundation in Guelph. So that's just one of several hospital and healthcare centers who are involved in this partnership with this lottery. The money raised does go directly back into the healthcare centers and hospitals, so it's nice to see them help in terms of purchasing equipment. For example, if they need more beds, just to name a couple there. So you can watch that segment online, ctvnewskitchener.ca. And again, that early bird deadline tonight at midnight. So if you haven't gone and gotten your tickets yet for that, you still have time.
Yeah, split the pot. It's a big local initiative in our local healthcare community. And I know we'll be hearing more about it as well on the air in the days to come.
Yes.
All right. Alex, thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, well, some traveler turbulence is looming at Air Canada if the airline can't negotiate a new contract with its flight attendants in 10 days. The union, representing 10,000 flight attendants, says it has an overwhelming mandate for a strike from its members. CTV's Judy Trin now with a closer look at the issues that have been going on for a decade.
Mike Abraham has booked a flight to Slovenia for a bike tour. He's scheduled to take off just as Air Canada's flight attendants are poised to strike.
Even if I was to actually try to rebook it now with either with Air Canada or with a competitor, say a European airline, the price would be at least 3 times as much.
Air Canada's 10-year contract with its 10,000 flight attendants is expiring. The union representing the workers says better wages and working conditions are needed. Flight attendants average 35 hours of unpaid work each month.
We're not paid anytime the aircraft is not in motion. So any of the pre-flight checks, mandatory safety briefings, all the required stuff that is done on the ground prior to pushback, as well as the deplaning process.
The workers are getting support from the Conservatives, urging the government to amend the labor code to ensure flight attendants are paid for every minute they're required to be at work from check-in to sign-off. Last year, Air Canada generated operating revenues of more than $22 billion. Thousands of passengers could be impacted if a deal is not reached by August 16th.
This will be a test for the Carney government to see whether they have the intestinal fortitude to let labor relations work its way through this process.
Even though Abraham has been planning his trip for months, he doesn't support government intervention, but does support fair wages for workers.
Being paid for your hours on the job, that I think is a no-brainer. I can't possibly understand why a company wouldn't do that.
In a previous statement, Air Canada said it was committed to reaching a fair and equitable contract with its flight attendants. Both sides returned to the bargaining table on Friday. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
And as if a possible strike wasn't enough for travelers, now Air Canada's loyalty program is changing how members earn points. The Aeroplan shakeup is sparking backlash from frequent flyers who say they will lose out. CTV's Pat Foran takes a look at the major changes.
Starting on January 1st, Aeroplan will overhaul the way its members earn points, and the biggest change means you'll earn based on how much you spend instead of how far you go. Phil McCulley is a frequent flyer and has been an Aeroplan member for the past 20 years. He's concerned business travelers buying more expensive tickets will see the greatest benefits.
But it absolutely benefits people who travel on the max fare class. So people who fly business everywhere are disproportionately benefiting from this program than people who travel, let's say, like a lower fare class.
The majority of our members are going to be better off than they were before.
Air Canada says the changes to the loyalty program will benefit those who engage with the airline and its partners the most. Starting in the new year, you'll earn 1 Aeroplan point per dollar spent. In 2 examples on Air Canada's website, it states if you book a flight between Toronto and Montreal with a base fare of $427, you'll earn 427 Aeroplan points. In another example, if you booked a round trip from Montreal to Paris and the base fare is $1,500, under the current plan you would receive almost 7,000 points, but under the new plan you'll receive 1,500 Aeroplan points. The more you pay, the more points you'll get.
It can't be seen as a positive, but it can't be seen as negative either. It really comes down to the individual, whether these changes are good for you or not.
Rewards Canada, a website that studies loyalty programs, says those who pay more for expensive flights will achieve elite status faster and rack up more points than those who are searching for bargains.
The more you spend with the airline, the more you're going to be rewarded, whether it's elite status or with points earning as well.
The changes are also more in line with other airlines that have also moved to revenue-based models. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Another staple in shopping malls files for bankruptcy. And also coming up, building big in southwestern Ontario. Volkswagen ramps up hiring for a massive plant in St. Thomas. An iconic accessories chain that's a staple in malls plans to seek creditor protection in Canada after filing for bankruptcy in the U.S. The CEO of Claire's says the company's making the move because of increased competition, consumer spending trends, and the shift away from brick-and-mortar retail. Claire's in North America will remain open during the process, which it says will help monetize assets and allow it to explore strategic alternatives. This is the second time the company's filed for bankruptcy. It first did so back in 2018. An Ontario court, meanwhile, has approved the sale of the El Macambo. Former Dragon's Den star Michael Weckerly bought the legendary concert venue in 2014 for $3.8 million and spent about $35 million on extensive renovations. But court documents filed earlier this year showed the businessman had defaulted on nearly $56 million in loans tied to the property. The sale to a company controlled by an executive at Brookfield Asset Management is expected to close in the coming weeks. Weckerly called the sale of the venue very important to its future. And it is full steam ahead for the biggest automotive facility this country has seen in decades. Volkswagen subsidiary PowerCo Canada has begun ramping up hiring for its $7 billion plant in St. Thomas. CTV's Sean Irvin reports.
For the first time, we're hearing directly from Volkswagen about the number of jobs it will create when it opens its massive PowerCo battery plant in St. Thomas.
So I think the answer at the moment is thousands of jobs.
When announced in 2023, PowerCo was predicted to employ 3,000 people and create thousands of spin-off jobs. With initial site infrastructure nearing completion, the groundbreaking for Phase 1 is only weeks away. But just how fast the plant will expand and the size of its workforce is not known, with the unpredictability of U.S. tariffs and ongoing trade discussions.
We are monitoring the trade topic very closely, but for the next couple of years, our message is full steam ahead, because that's what we really want to achieve, is start production here in St. Thomas.
To meet its goal, PowerCo has begun a marketing campaign to attract specialized talent, including chemists and IT professionals. In the coming weeks, the company will launch a new jobs website for frontline workers. Initial hires will be trained at a purpose-built local training facility.
So the big wave would start next year, and then you would see that growing into the years to come.
A large skilled workforce was a major reason southwestern Ontario was selected for the massive PowerCo facility.
Important is that we get the right workforce here. We think this is the case.
Asked if that vision has been met 2 years on, Wickbolt told CTV News,
I'm surprised of the level of qualification that we find.
PowerCo has already hired more than 200 people. All are said to be looking forward to the groundbreaking ceremony.
Foundations is the next focus for our first production building, and then the other big milestone this year is steel construction.
Once the initial phase is complete, production will begin.
Whether it's mid-year or the third quarter, I can't tell you, but we definitely aim for sooner rather than later in 2027.
More than 40 jobs are already active on the company's website. Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Okay, recapping our top stories now. Leanne Evans in studio with us. And Leanne, a timely warning from regional police tonight about rental scams.
Right, and the message comes as post-secondary students, of course, beginning their search for a place to stay leading up to the start of the next school year. The scam could include someone using stolen images from real listings, advertising below market prices, and pressuring victims to send money right away. Police are urging people who believe they've come across a fake rental listing to come forward and report it. Record-breaking periods of high demand are something the Food Bank of Waterloo Region has seen several times over the last few years. While overall usage is up, they are seeing a drop in the number of students accessing the food bank, noting a shift compared to the same period last year, with the number of students using their services down about 26%.
And Leanne, online from our digital team tonight, we've got some details on indulging in some midsummer must-haves.
Yeah, everything from cocktails to beauty, skincare, self-care. The list goes on. It's something we all kind of need, I think. Jeanette Ewan was here to show us some great finds you can treat yourself to keep your style fresh this season. She joined us today on CTV News at 5. You can watch that full video over on our website, ctvnewskitchener.ca. Tony.
All right. Leanne Evans with our top stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There is a new drink available for your best friend. The Barking Brew beverage for dogs comes in 2 dog-friendly flavors, Beef Hound Ale and Peanut Butter Pilsner. A woman in Clarksburg near Collingwood is brewing up the all-natural doggy drinks made entirely from locally sourced Canadian ingredients. The beverages are just hitting shelves and business is already taking off.
Since January 31st of this year, I've brewed 25,000 cans of dog beer, and I'm brewing another 5,000 cans next week. So the dogs like it, they love it.
Sounds like the critics are giving it good reviews too there. You can grab a 6-pack of Barking Brew online and hopefully soon at grocery stores. Machine Gun Kelly meeting and greeting fans in Mississauga. Coming up, CTV's Andrea Case tells us about the popular U.S. rapper's visit to a local record store today. A high-profile tourist paid a visit to Mississauga today, much to the delight of fans. American rapper Machine Gun Kelly held a meet and greet at Square One's Sunrise Records this afternoon, all part of a promotion for his latest album. CTV's Andrea Case was there.
The artist formerly known as Machine Gun Kelly, now MGK, arrived at Square One Mall's newly opened Sunrise Record store for a meet and greet. And fans like Ottawa's Cameron Hurlbut could barely contain themselves.
I'm seeing a lot of tears. Are you okay right now?
I'm like very excited that I met him.
It's
great to meet you. Oh my God!
This is the only in-store appearance in Canada, just days before the rapper, punk pop musician released his 7th album called Lost Americana.
I'm kind of like a newer fan, but like I love his music. He's like a big inspiration to me. So
mind-blowing because he's one of the best artists around. He's one of the best people. Like, who else does this for their fans?
Is this a future fan of MGK?
Yes, it is. She's been listening to his music while she's been in the womb.
It's a whirlwind publicity tour. He was in New York this morning, Mississauga this afternoon, and Toronto's Horseshoe Tavern tonight for a free concert. Then it's back home to Cleveland, where the city whose motto is progress and prosperity will celebrate MGK all weekend long. Lost Americana will be released on Friday. Andrea Case, CTV News.
That is incredible, and I will wager that if our colleague at CTV Ottawa, Will Aiello, wasn't working today, he was probably at Square One. He's a huge MGK fan. All right, here's Marcia McMillan with a look at what's coming up tonight at 11.
Tonight, serious warnings about wildfires.
We're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods.
The outdoor activities restricted, the consequences of breaking the rules, and where air quality is getting worse. Later on CTV National News.
Still in the upper 20s, but feeling more like the low 30s with that humidex in place. We'll take a look at how your wake-up weather is looking after the break. Plenty of entertainment for your Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It's Match Game before Master Chef at 8. Then at 9, Gordon Ramsay's Secret Service before Battle of the Generations at 10.
It's Jeff, KP, and Backstage Ben in the morning.
3 awesome people that want to start your day or finish your overnight shift.
You'll laugh, you'll text, you'll call, you'll scratch your head, and maybe even beat Backstage Ben. Weekday mornings from 5:30 to 10.
Listen live on the iHeartRadio app or at 105.3 Virgin Radio.
Okay, we're going to check in now with Leanne Evans for a look at what our team is watching for later tonight. Leanne.
Tony, a Quebec-based data company has its eye on Wilmot Township as a possible location for its next potential site. The land has been prepared by the region and the province to be shovel-ready for a big employer that would bring thousands of jobs to the region. Also tonight, a Laurier football coach gives back. Zach Scotto is completing his 60th blood donation tonight. Why he chooses to help others and what his dedication means to the Canadian Blood Services tonight at 11:30. Tony.
Okay, lots on the go. Leanne, thank you very much for that. And Alex, as far as our weather goes, I know there was like a possibility of seeing some wet weather later this week. I feel like we've headed in a decent direction so far.
Yeah, decent direction. Still a slight chance when we get into the overnight hours. That risk of a thunderstorm is expected to stick with us. But even when we were looking at our future cast, didn't look like, at least for us here in Waterloo region, like we were going to see much wet weather. But depending where you are too, a little bit further north, you might see a bit more active weather there. But in terms of tomorrow morning, yeah, not too bad. Yeah, things have shifted a little bit. By 6 a.m., 17 degrees we should hit, mainly sunny conditions. Similar conditions pretty much sticking with us over the next few hours. 8 a.m. we're going to go up just a couple of degrees to 19. And then by 10 we should be sitting at around 23. So not a bad start to the day.
People will be okay with that farther north. Mom says the lawns and gardens really need a drink.
Yes. Yeah. And that's okay. That's why, you know, we want a little bit of rain where we can get it.
We need a bit of everything. And finally for us tonight, an NHL player is going to have quite a story to tell his teammates when training camp opens next month. Seattle Kraken forward John Hayden and the team's mascot had a close encounter with some wildlife during a promotional video shoot in Alaska.
While we were fishing, we had a pretty close call with a couple bears. We got a bear.
Yeah, imagine that. So Hayden and the mascot were in a national park when a bear approached. They quickly decided the best course of action would be to return to shore, along with the film crew. Grizzlies are common in the area and are used to seeing humans there. Organizers had hired guides for safety as well. Still, Hayden called it a pretty close call. The player and the mascot were on the trip in June to promote youth hockey, and especially when the bear charges, my heart kind of stopped for a second.
Have you ever seen a bear up close?
No.
I have.
Haven't. Oh, it's scary.
I mean, you know, I grew up in Petawawa, so that was like, you know, a Tuesday night at the end of summer or early fall. You'd be mindful of these things. They were always roaming out of Algonquin Park and into town. It's, yeah, it gives you pause to consider life, everything.
Yeah, do a little research before, you know, trekking it through the woods there.
Be bear wise, they used to always tell us. That's our time. Thanks for checking in with us. We'll see you back here at 11:30. Good night.
Take care.